All right, let's dive into how Next.js is tackling some of the most frustrating performance problems on the web. It's doing it with two incredibly smart built-in tools. We're going to focus on how it optimizes two things you use every single day, fonts and images, and how that completely changes the game for user experience.
We've all been there, right? You're trying to read something, you go to tap a button, and poof, the whole page shifts. Suddenly the button moves, and you've clicked on an ad by mistake. It's not just annoying, it's a fundamental performance issue that developers have been fighting for years.
And you know, it's not just about us getting frustrated. Google actually has a name for this stuff. They measure this experience with a set of metrics called Core Web Vitals. These are designed to put a number on how a page feels to a real person, and there are two big ones that cause most of the trouble.
So first up is Cumulative Layout Shift, or CLS. This is the technical term for that annoying jumping around we were just talking about. It happens when things like fonts or images pop in late, forcing the browser to redraw the page right after you've started looking at it.
And then there's its partner in crime, Largest Contentful Paint, or LCP. This one's all about speed. It measures how long it takes for the most important thing on the page, like that big hero image or the main headline, to actually show up. A slow LCP is what makes a page feel sluggish, even if other little bits have already loaded.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, Next.js starts with the fonts. It gives us a built-in solution that is a total game changer in how we handle them, and it's aimed squarely at killing that awful cumulative layout shift.
For years, the way we did this was, frankly, kind of clunky. You'd use a link tag or a CSS import to fetch fonts from a service like Google Fonts. But this whole approach is flawed. It adds another network request which slows your site down, and it can even leak user info like IP addresses to third-party servers. Not great.
But the worst part of this old method is something called a flash of unstyled text. What happens is the browser first displays a default font, and then, bam, your custom font finally loads, causing all the text to resize and the whole layout to jump. This is public enemy number one for your CLS score.
I mean, just look at the difference when you put them side by side. It's not even a contest. The old way makes preventing layout shift this manual, tricky chore, and you're still dealing with extra network calls and privacy questions. But Next/font? It makes CLS prevention automatic, gets rid of external requests, and does all the hard work at build time. It's a huge win on every level.
So what's the magic here? How does it actually work? Well, it's brilliant. When you build your site, Next.js downloads the font and hosts it itself right alongside your other files. That kills the external network request right there. Then it uses a super clever CSS trick called size adjust to make the fallback font take up the exact same amount of space as the final font. The result? Absolutely zero layout shift. It's guaranteed.
And the best part? Setting this up is unbelievably easy. You literally just create a font file, import the font you want, and then apply its class name in your layout. That's it. Next.js handles all that complex optimization in the background for you.
Okay, so fonts are solved. Now, Next.js takes that exact same automate everything philosophy and applies it to images. It completely reinvents the standard HTML image tag to help us perfect those LCP scores and stamp out even more layout shift.
The classic MG tag. Well, it's kind of basic. To make it work well, you have to manually create different sizes for different screens, figure out how to lazy load images, and you have to remember to specify the dimensions. If you forget any of that, boom, you're right back to layout shift and slow pages. The next image component, on the other hand, is a massive upgrade. It's like the superhero version of the MG tag. You get automatic resizing for you, lazy loading is turned on by default, and it even serves up modern, faster formats like WebP to browsers that can handle them. It just means your app is fast from the get-go.
And if you look at its core props, you can really see the philosophy at work. Of course, source and alt are required. That's just good accessibility. But notice width and height are also required. This isn't to annoy you, it's a brilliant design choice that forces you to follow best practices. It lets Next.js know exactly how much space to save for the image, killing layout shift before it even has a chance to happen.
And here is the #1 pro tip for absolutely nailing your LCP score. For that one critical image that everyone sees the second the page loads, your main hero image for instance, you can add the priority prop. This one little flag tells Next.js, hey, load this image first before anything else. It's the fastest way to get your most important content on the screen.
So now let's just zoom out for a moment. When you put Next Font and Next Image together, you start to see that these aren't just two cool, separate tools. They're two parts of one big, powerful strategy for building high-performance websites.
And this really gets to the heart of it. The idea here is that performance shouldn't be something you bolt on at the end. It should be built into the very DNA of the framework. These tools make sure that developers are building fast, accessible sites by default, not by accident.
So what's the key takeaway for you? Here's the playbook. For any Next.js project you're working on, just use these components. Make them your default. If you're working on an older project, start by migrating your most important fonts and images first. Use that priority prop like a scalpel for your main content, and please always define your image dimensions and add that alt text.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought. Next.js is showing us a future where developers can spend more time building cool features because they can trust that the framework is handling all this complex performance stuff for them. It really makes you wonder, what if performance by default just becomes the new standard for how we build everything on the web?